Yep, there we go.
Testing.
Light on, mic on. Your light has to be on. Cool stuff. Yeah. I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May 17th. As you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well, first we're going to start off with something exciting. Tonight we will recognize our, not that every meeting isn't exciting, but tonight we will recognize our Support Staff Employee of the Year, and Amanda Widener will help us honor these employees tonight. So, I'm going to move over here.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Whitaker. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight to present our Support Staff Employees of the Year. In an effort to acknowledge the important contributions of our non-certified employees, Montgomery County Public Schools recognizes exemplary support staff employees each year, and we select one employee as the Support Staff Employee of the Year who represents the entire school division. Candidates for this award are employees who consistently demonstrate leadership qualities when fulfilling their responsibilities. They promote cooperative relationships with students, colleagues, and the community. And they contribute to the school division in an exceptional manner. This year, 20 support staff employees were nominated by a school principal or a director. We are pleased to announce Montgomery County's Support Staff Employees of the Year at this time. Joining me will be Bridget Adams, the president of the Christiansburg-Blacksburg Rotary Club, who will present a $1,000 check to our school division employee of the year at the end. Several of our employees could not be here tonight. However, for those who are, when I call your name, please come forward to accept your certificate. If you have a guest with you who would like to take your picture, they can step forward to do that as well. Elena Abade Sanchez, who is a preschool aide at Prices Fork Elementary School. And unfortunately, I don't think Elena was able to be here tonight. Our next support staff employee is Shannon Baker, who is an administrative aide at Bellevue Elementary School. Our next employee is Marie Bentley, cafeteria manager at Auburn Middle School. And I don't know if Marie was able to join us tonight. Sarah Bingley, school nurse at Gilbert Lincas Elementary School. And unfortunately, it looks like Sarah was not able to join us. The next individual is Karen Cecil, administrative assistant at Margaret Beeks Elementary School. Amy Diggs, administrative assistant at Blacksburg Middle School, and I know Amy said she would not be able to join us. Tracy Eastridge, the administrative assistant in the transportation department. Elise Epperly, administrative assistant at Christiansburg High School. Jesse Hinckley, head custodian at Auburn High School, and I believe Jesse is here tonight. Our next individual is Tina Hinckley, custodian at Christiansburg Elementary School. Our next individual is Judy Kessinger, Special Education Aide at Eastern Montgomery High School. Our next individual is Barbara Largen, custodian at Christiansburg Primary School. Our next individual is Amanda Moss, school nurse at Auburn Elementary School. And unfortunately, it looks like Amanda was not able to join us tonight. Crystal Payne, administrative assistant at Blacksburg High School. Crystal's not here tonight. Lori Phillips, administrative assistant in the curriculum office, and I know Lori told me she could not attend tonight, but yes, congratulations. Deanna Rennick, special education aide at Eastern Montgomery Elementary School. Regina Smith, special education aide at Kipps Elementary School. Jody Teeters, preschool aide at Falling Branch Elementary School. And Sandy Weber, administrative aide at Harding Avenue Elementary School. So congratulations to all of our winners. It is now my honor to announce our school division support staff employee of the year for the 2022-23 school year. Tara Almany is a system analyst in our technology department who has worked for MCPS for 26 years. During her 26 years, she has worked as a special education aide, a registrar, an administrative assistant, and now serves in our technology department where she has worked for the last 14 years. Ms. Almany is appreciated for her efforts to engage and collaborate with MCPS staff in a professional and positive manner. Her supportive and helpful interactions with all staff reflect a model of outstanding customer service. Carl Polly, the Director of Secondary Education, stated that Tara is one of those behind-the-scene workers who quietly performs her duties to keep the school system running smoothly. Her corporate memory and knowledge of state regulations was and continues to be invaluable. Her expertise, attention to detail, dedication, and work ethic make her the ideal partner in any project. Regardless of circumstances, Tara remains calm, pleasant, and humble. I don't recall her ever saying that something can't be done. She always finds a way to get things done that seem impossible, and she does so with impressive speed and accuracy. Doug Wickham, the Director of Technology, offered similar comments about the value of Tara's work. He compared Tara to a car engine that does not get much attention as people only see the outside of the car, but without the engine, the car does not run. Tara is that engine for MCPS. She works tirelessly to ensure our state reports account for each and every child in Montgomery County. We are thankful for Ms. Almany's dedication to our school division and congratulate her as the MCPS Support Staff Employee of the Year. Tara, would you please come forward?
Big smiles, everybody. There you go.
Congratulations to all of our winners. So now we are at the public hearing portion of our agenda for ESSER funding. As a part of the ESSER funding requirements, we must hold a public input session every 6 months to hear from constituents. At this time, there are no speakers signed up for the public hearing, so the public hearing is now closed. That was quick. Public address. Our next agenda item is public address. We welcome the opportunity to hear from students, parents, employees, and community members about education matters in this community. As a reminder, the board sets aside 30 minutes to start our public address. We have the option to extend in 30-minute increments, which Ms. Drake will remind us of. If there are additional speakers after 90 minutes, the board will continue with their business meeting and hold one additional 30-minute session at the end of the business meeting. The clock continues through applause and disruptions. The more disruptions there are, the fewer speakers who get to address the board. I will call each speaker up by name in the order that they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board does not respond to speakers during public address. The screens will show when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining and when time is up. Please state your name and the area of the county you live in. And the first speakers are Richard Abbott, followed by Alicia Vaught, which I believe is electronic. Is Mr. Abbott here? Okay, I guess we're going to go direct to Ms. Vaught.
No. Mr. Wickham?
She's not dialing in.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate because I don't have my list up. Do you have your list up?
And Ms. Green will be followed by Annie Chilcote.
I'll get that. So, thank you very much.
Good evening, Dr. Annie Whitaker, School Board Chair Ms. Sue Cass, and the members of the board. My name is Ruth Green. I'm a retired Virginia Tech faculty member. I've lived in Blacksburg for 34 years. I raised 2 Blacksburg High School graduates here and am now the proud grandmother of a 6th and a 9th grader in Blacksburg schools. I'm here to speak in support of the ideal of equity as presented in the current strategic plan. An illustration of the meaning of the word shows 3 children of differing heights trying to look over a fence, which is too high for the smallest child, still too high for the middle child, and the tallest child does not need any help. The middle child can manage with 1 booster step, and the little one needs 2 to see over the fence. Were justice to be served, each child would be provided the help that he or she needs to see over the fence and succeed in school to the best of that child's abilities. It is hard to accept an argument that the disadvantaged children somehow deserve to struggle more than the child who's big enough to see over the fence by virtue of the circumstances under which he or she are being raised. The term equity has been misinterpreted and distorted by politicians angling for votes. It has been called a racist policy. Many studies have shown that academic success is correlated with the socioeconomic status of the child's family, his or her race, and whether or not that child comes from a family where English is spoken at home. This speaks directly to an inequality that still exists in our society, which has a historical basis. Are we willing to punish some children for this history? In Montgomery County, there are 3 schools whose student population come from a lower socioeconomic level than the rest of the schools, in which test scores are lower and absenteeism is greater. Can we imagine that the children in those 3 disadvantaged schools show a different distribution of abilities than the children in, for example, Blacksburg Middle School, where my grandson is? In addition, there's a disparity in rates of disciplinary action taken against Black children and children with disabilities. Can we imagine that those children who receive the brunt of more severe discipline in our schools are being treated with as much fairness and understanding as their counterparts who also sometimes misbehave? Equity measures are the responses of public schools across our county, our state, and our country to the historically based social injustices that still persist despite the great efforts and progress that have been made over the decades. Equity policy is not discriminatory, nor is it racist.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Next up is Annie Chilcote, and on deck is Bob Beard.
Hi, my name is Annie Chilcote, and I live in Blacksburg. I'm here today to speak in support of collective bargaining in the hopes that you are all truly giving thoughtful consideration to allowing MCPS employees to negotiate their contracts. So today at my school, it was field day. I'm the music teacher at Auburn Elementary School, and we had an amazing day. We had great weather. We had awesome parent volunteers back in our school today. And it was a very special day, too, because our pre-K through 2 students have never experienced field day before. So it was really fun to watch them on this very special day. But I was kind of running around and where I was needed and playing music, but I got to observe my colleagues and the way that they interact with their students. They squirted them with a fire hose. They covered them with the parachute in the bubble. But they also cared for them when they fell and scraped their elbow, or they fell down and got muddy, or were upset because they were hot and tired and just over it. My colleagues and I are different in so many different ways, but almost 100% of my colleagues signed authorization cards in support of collective bargaining. It's evidenced by them today on field day and every other day in school that they value communication and relationships. I don't think that contract negotiations should be seen as a failure of something, but rather a way to create a different and maybe more meaningful vehicle towards communication with you all, administration, and staff. Lastly, personally, you all know that my husband, Glenn, is the MCEA president. There have been a lot of arguments about collective bargaining that have, to be frank, have felt kind of personal. Not to him, he has a thick skin, but I do not. I have personal experience with that because my dad served as a school board member in my small hometown in Pennsylvania. And if my dad said something or did something that people disagreed with, there was always, some people always thought that he had some hidden agenda or ulterior motive. There's an insinuation that there is some kind of financial kickback for the collective bargaining work that the MCEA is doing. Neither Glenn nor any of the MCEA members receive compensation for any of the work that they do. My federal income and bank statements are available to you upon request if you need proof of that. I hate that I had to address that, but hopefully it's another piece that you can use in your decision since it's something that you're hearing. I would also want my child or my students to stand up and speak out if they heard something that was untrue about a friend or a classmate. My dad truly just wanted to help people in the place that he taught his entire career, and I married a man just like my dad who wants to help everyone in this place that we chose to call home. I thank you for your time this evening, and I hope that you will give MCPS employees a meaningful seat at the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chilcote. Next up, we have Bob Beard, and on deck is Jordan Harris.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Bob Beard. I live here in Christiansburg. Tonight I want to talk about a post I've seen on Facebook about what we can negotiate for the MCEA, and it has all these different points. And these are the talking points that we've been hearing over the last couple of months regarding what they want to negotiate. As I understand it, 88% of the MCPS budget is payroll. How high is high enough? If we want to have better payroll, better money for teachers, how high is that percentage got to be? Montgomery teachers' pay is ranked 3rd in the state for sergeant salaries. Why do teachers need a union? If they're 3rd in the state, why do the teachers need a union? It also has on here pay equity. So pay equity appears to be transparent. Pay income is posted on your website. So my question is there a different page for other people, teachers of color, of sex? Does MCPS get paid, teachers get paid differently? Is this a practice of MCPS? If not, why does the community need a union? Why do teachers need a union if all pay is equal and there's no difference between race or sex? Also, there's notes on here about adequate classroom technology. Well, recently, MCPS got recognized as a leader across the state for a great response regarding virtual learning technology. They did a great job of for virtual learning. However, the SOL scores dropped 25%. And yet, no discussion about the loss of learning. Everyone is still passed. And sorry, but the technologies from our schools, what technology is missing? I don't understand. Smaller class size. MCPS average class size is 20 students, 18 in elementary, 22 in high school. Let me ask, what is the perfect class size? How small, you know? And also on, how much time? It's a minute. Cool. On the last school board meeting, Glenn mentioned a Supreme Court case, and it states that it is unconstitutional to require any public employee to pay dues as a requirement for to be employed. This proves the MCA will never do this. Never do what? What does this mean? How does this court case impact the hiring process for teachers? Does the union decide who the school hires? Does becoming or not becoming a union member a part of the hiring process? What has happened to other unionized school districts? How much does it cost to join the union? What kind of ROI does by joining the union does it offer the teachers? Do the teachers who do not join lose their seat at the table? Do the teachers who do not join get the same contracts and benefits of other unionized teachers without paying all the money? How much does it cost to join the union? Who gets to see the union budget and expenditures? Do the teachers get to vote on the budget and how it is spent? He also mentioned this last part is if the MCA wants a meaningful seat at the table, that is our final goal, nothing more, nothing less. All they want is the best for our students.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jordan Harris, and after Jordan is Deborah Travis.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Jordan Harris, and I'm from Christiansburg. I will be graduating from CHS this upcoming Saturday. However, I did feel inclined to speak today as I wish to only bring a light of change before I leave. Thus, in regards to equity and the actions sought out by the board to implement equity, I wanted to share its importance from a student of color's perspective. I am a strong advocate for the power that education withholds in respective to the divisiveness that certain ideas have been deemed. So in this recent school year, not only was I an intern at Christiansburg Institute, I chose to take our African American history course. And through this curriculum, there was a piece of evidence that has stuck with me. It was an excerpt from a Virginia history textbook from the 1960s that taught slavery as a bad system, yet enslaved Black people were treated well. With the false idea such as this being taught at one point in time, which was not very far from now, shows we still have work to do as a community and state to further make sure these ideas do not maintain the roots that they once embedded into our education. Therefore, when approaching the educational boundaries of Glenn Youngkin's Executive Order 1, I ask you to consider a way of equity that ensures the best and most comprehensive education on our history, from systems nationally, in our state, and in our locality. We urge for the past to not be repeated. However, in order to do so, we have to learn about the past in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Next, we have Deborah Travis.
Good afternoon, school board, superintendent, and all present tonight. My name is Deborah Travis. I'm a resident of Christiansburg, the town of Christiansburg, and have lived here for 26 years. I have 3 adult children who graduated from Christiansburg High School, and I am also the president of the Montgomery County, Rapid City, Floyd County branch of the NAACP. Tonight, I speak on behalf of the branch and its members regarding the support of equity work in the schools. We're concerned of Governor Youngkin's Executive Order 1 and its 30-day report wherein steps are to be taken to remove, quote, inherently divisive concepts, unquote, in public education. We believe that the actions that have followed are creating misinterpretation of equity and thus has resulted in the removal of equity resources at the Virginia Department of Education, which may cause disruption of work already in the school districts to promote equity. While it has been interpreted by the Virginia Secretary of Public Instruction, Ms. Jillian Balow, that equity is a divisive concept, the truth is equity work does not discriminate against anyone and does not create divisive concepts. As an organization, we advocate and push for legislation against discriminatory practices and promote equity. For many years, the NAACP has advocated for and has been instrumental in affecting legislation that has provided educational access and protections, and we are still committed to that effort. However, we know that equality alone is not enough, and so our focus is on promoting equity. We know having equal access to education, as demonstrated in the case of Brown versus Board of Education, must include equitable learning experiences. We support the principles of equity in education, being impartial in the educational process, and ensuring that equal treatment regardless of race, color, ethnicity, social economic status, gender identification, sexual orientation, and religion, and other protected groups. Having the opportunity, eliminating all barriers to the achievement of education, having access, providing programs that address the needs of high achievers, low achievers, and those who may have disabilities. Inclusion, promoting the social and emotional health of all students in a psychologically safe environment, which allows them to be motivated to achieve and have a good experience in that process of their educational pursuit. In closing, we support the equity efforts and work of Montgomery County Public Schools via the strategic plan approved by you, the school board, in December of 2020. The plan was developed, as you know, not only by staff, but students, parents, and community members, including the NAACP. We know that there is still work to be done, improvements to be made,
Ms.
but
Travis,
we support
I'm sorry,
the
I have
efforts
to ask you to
and
stop.
vow to work
Thank
with
you.
the school districts and the school board. Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have Mr. Barbati. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you we're on deck. And after Mr. is it Barbetti or Barbati? I think I say it wrong.
Pronounced Barbetti.
Barbetti, I'll get it right from now
You just
on.
want to call me Bob. I'm here regularly.
Okay. And on deck, we have Glenn Chilcote.
Bob Barbetti, Reiner. MCPS has become a complex organization. And much like other complex organizations over time, it's lost its primary focus, I believe, education. For example, safety is not the primary role of public education. Important, but not primary. Safe but educated is barely more than slavery. Politically correct speech is emphasized over common sense. However, dissent and discussion are integral to learning. Discipline is absent or ignored, yet without discipline, how can anyone learn or accomplish anything of worth? Indoctrination of aberrant ideology should not happen. Talking to young students about gender or sexuality makes no sense, particularly when the students cannot even spell the words, let alone understand them. Talking to students about these matters is the responsibility of parents, and not long ago could have been considered a crime. Corrupting education with inappropriate, amoral, immoral, or deviant material and hiding it from parents must stop. Just say no to this corruption. You all work for the parents, not the students. Our county and the country needs public education. Education is required for our population to become responsible citizens. Everything else education does is, at best, secondary. It's hard to see how to change anything this complicated. You may ask, how can any one person make a difference? MCPS employees are faced with what may seem to be impossible expectations. So I want every MCPS employee to know that you are not alone. You were hired to do a job which is critical to the education of our children, who are the future of Montgomery County. Whether you teach, cook, clean, repair, secure, manage, or whatever else, your success in that role is important to everyone. Thank you for choosing to serve Montgomery County. We have your back. Soon, we the people will be taking back our election process to ensure honest and fair elections. We will be rebuilding media to provide factual and unbiased information. We will be transforming our public education to effectively educate. We will be electing public servants who believe in God, family, our great country, and individual responsibility. I encourage everyone to step up. Now's the time to reconsider your role and what you can do to change the destructive descent of our society. Together, we the people can and will reclaim our county and nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barbetti. Next up is Mr. Chilcote, and then last on the list is Kenny Ford.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Chilcote, and I live in Blacksburg. I'm going to speak very briefly tonight. I feel that the points that I have made and a large number of employees have made have reached you, and I don't need to address them anymore. I look forward to working with you all to create a joint resolution and bring that forward to you all for approval. I would like to read to you School Board Policy 2-2.3. And that clearly states that materials that are disseminated in Montgomery County Public Schools may not advocate for the passage or defeat of any matter pending before the school board. There have been individuals passing out lots of information on cars in parking lots in our schools. This has happened not 1, not 2, but 4 times. This is breaking your policy. I have respect for this institution and the policies of MCPS. I'm asking that you make sure your policies are upheld and that the libelous rhetoric be excluded from public debate. Now, to make this situation a little bit more real right now, for example, the BHS girls lacrosse team. There was a school board policy issue with that decision. I personally support the girls to be able to wear t-shirts that say pray or play for peace. But I completely respect the decision that was based off following school board policy. I respect that. I can't argue that. It is in the policy. This is no different, and this has happened, and I have brought this forward numerous times, and it continues to happen. Now, I do not expect MCPS administration to be police officers or to be able to stand outside and make sure that things aren't put on cars. But you all have to uphold the policies and make sure that the discourse for public debate is rooted in truth. And I have been here for 15, 20 minutes tonight and heard lie after lie. I'm here to spread the truth, and if you have any questions, please contact me because I'm going to give you the true and honest answer, whether you like it or not. The truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chilcote. And last, we have Kenny Ford.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dr. Whitaker, it was a pleasure speaking with you before the meeting. The reason I'm here is I live down in Elliston, down that way under the mountain next to Roanoke County. And you know, I contacted a member of the board last year, back in July, about the track at Eastmont High School, how it's unsafe and it's cracked up and it's coming apart. As of this date, nothing has been done. I spoke with I didn't speak with Mr. Krantz. A member of that works here in Christiansburg School Board spoke with Mr. Krantz. They assured us it was going to be fixed back in the fall. That's come and gone, and to no avail. Nothing's been done. It's my understanding that, in speaking with this member of the administration this week, maybe last week, I apologize, that they can't even hold a track meet there because the conditions of the track are so bad. So you have the single A school, can't hold the track meet there. They have to go someplace else to hold track meets. You know, that's wrong. I went around and looked at Christiansburg, Auburn, Blacksburg. Man, nice tracks. And I would employ each one of you all to do the same thing. Just go around and check out your facilities that we're paying for. And that's all I would ask that you do. And give us, you know, the same courtesy as you do the other schools and fix our facilities. The tennis courts are falling apart. The basketball court that's outside for that people play on weekends and during the week is falling apart. We have a very nice baseball field down there. No water on the baseball field. They can't even water the grass. Now, I spoke with my representative, Steve Fidjahowski, from the school board Board of Supervisors about this. He said he can't control that. However, if the board would approach him, he will see what they can do to assist in getting water over to the field. It's $20,000 to get it over there. The board's willing to help. And so the reason I'm here today is to hope that you all will take a look under the mountain and see if we can get our facilities in at least somewhat condition as the ones on top of the mountain. And that's all I would ask of you today. And so we look forward to hear from you. If I can do anything or help in any way, I'll be glad to come out and help. You know, you all do a good job as a school system. I'm not getting into this other stuff that they have going on, but you know, just keep up the good work, and I appreciate it. And Ms. Franklin, I thank you for always willing to help us as well, and Dana, you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. That concludes our public address. So we are going to move on now to consent items. If no one wishes to pull an item for review, we will consider items approved on consent. Okay. Then we'll move on to financial reports, payment of the bills. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of bills as presented?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of the financial summary report?
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, payment of the bills and financial summary report are both passed. Now we'll move on to the business meeting. Dr. Whitaker, I guess that's your,
Excellent.
Your
Can you all
thing?
hear me? Yes, okay, great. So we have for you the grant proposals for Eastern Montgomery Elementary School Boys and Girls Club. Do you have any questions regarding that?
okay. Does anyone wish to make a motion regarding the grant proposal for the EMES Boys and Girls Club?
Motion to accept. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then we have the grant proposal, School Nutrition Program Equipment Grant. I guess first I need to see if get a motion, and then we do discussion. So, does anyone wish to make a motion regarding the grant proposal?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Ms. Whitaker, is there anything we need to add on that?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have the grant proposal, MCPS STEM Academy Equipment. Does anyone wish to make a motion regarding the grant proposal?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Anything we need to add on that? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we got lots of grants. Grant proposal for VDOE Office of School Quality Summer 2022 Mini Grant. Does anyone wish to make a motion regarding the grant proposal?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And next, last grant is the grant proposal for the VDOE School-Based Health Workforce Grant. Does anyone wish to make a motion regarding this grant proposal?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we're going to move to policy 6-6.2 grade replacement. I believe Dr. Whitaker is going to, this is what Mr. Polly presented to us at our last meeting, and Dr. Whitaker, you wanted to speak on that?
Correct. So this is the policy replacement, the policy that Mr. Pauly brought forward to you at our May 3rd meeting. And this provides the opportunity for students to retake a course and get that new grade. Right now, we don't have that. If a student were to retake, they would have that same grade. And so the idea coming really initially from our students on the strategic plan asking for us to have an understanding of their mental health needs, and then looking at how this happens at the university level, which provides opportunity for students to retake. You know, the goal in the end is mastery of the content. And so we bring this policy forward for your approval this evening. Mr. Polly is here if you have any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion, any questions for Mr. Polly?
I just want to say thank you to Mr. Polly for this, because I know this will help a tremendous amount of students. And with everything that our students have had to go through for the last 2 years and the loss that we've endured, I think this will be a very positive step in our learning process. And I'm so excited about it. So thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Right, and next we have our title.
We got to.
I'm so sorry. We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, we have a motion. I got to do the vote first.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. All those in favor of the motion to approve the grade replacement policy?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Polly.
And so tonight we have for you the first reading of our title applications. These are our federal programs applications. Ms. Altizer is here this evening. But these applications provide details how we spend those federal funds that are associated with each of those plans. As a reminder, we do have to approve them prior to the end of this school year. And then what typically happens is the federal government tells us how much money they're actually giving us a little later. And so then we amend. We go based upon the year from before, which is the guidance from the state. And then if we get additional funding, we amend that application, or if it is reduced at the same time, we amend that as well in the fall.
Anybody have any questions regarding the title applications? These are all in our board docs. And you said this is a first reading, right?
It is.
So when will we vote on this at our next meeting?
It'll come at the next one. I think Ms. Altizer, if she has a second, I think there was something she wanted to note in that application. I could be wrong. Is she up top?
Is she here?
Ms. Altizer, was there a note you were wanting to give them? I was trying to remember. Something different in funding? Okay. Okay. Yes, and I think this is what it was. We might have another school that will show up, but we're not sure yet if we might have an additional school. Is it Margaret Beeks? Yeah, so those are based upon our free and reduced lunch percentages, and it needs to be at 40, 45, and I believe we're at like 38% or something. So we will let you know as that comes forward. What comes with that is some additional money, of course, also additional requirements, but the money is very helpful in those schools. And again, as that moves forward, we'll let you know, but I did want to give you a heads up on that. Our Title II grants are professional development grants, and so those are the grants that we get funds for professional development. And then our Title IV are our kind of what you call like innovative funds. You can use them for technology or for other programs as well. And Title III, I'm sorry, I skipped, is our ESL for our English as a second language learners, ELL at this time.
Anyone have any questions at this point? Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to the secondary ELA and world language textbook adoptions, grades 6 through 12.
Yes.
This too is an information item.
Yes, I think Dr. Meyer is going to come down and give you a little bit of information about the process on that textbook adoption, and she'll be able to answer questions. As she's walking down, I'll just kind of remind the group that we do make all of our books available for the public to view, and those have been on viewing at the school board office to get feedback. She'll tell you about the feedback that we get from our teachers as well, but we did have an online process open for anybody who wanted to provide feedback. And those textbooks come to us on a list from the state. So we get a bunch to look at from the state and then narrow it down from there. Perfect time.
Thank you. You did a nice job. You want to keep going?
I would not want to steal your thunder.
Both experiences in world language and English language arts this year have really been pleasurable because the teachers and working with the teachers has been a lot of fun. Really, really has been amazing because it's been a different kind of a textbook process in that we weren't just purchasing or making a decision on a textbook for the students or a textbook manual for the teachers. We were deciding on a digital learning environment for both of these content areas and truly moving into the real digital environment for the students. Both of the groups were all actively involved in the process in either reviewing the textbooks to start with and/or participating in vendor presentations to really see what the learning environment, the digital learning environments could do for our students and for teachers. So it was a challenging yet a very rewarding experience. So you have links to look at the timelines, but to just kind of surmise and summarize, world language was first semester that we really worked on, and all world language teachers were involved. And again, looking these standards of the new, they have a new set of world language standards that are to be implemented starting next fall. And so the series that they picked is the Virginia Department of Ed does not approve world language textbooks, but we did an evaluation process, had a rubric, really looked thoroughly through them to be sure that they were going to meet the standards, and they participated in that. So we have, we looked at 5 different vendors that were recommended by people around us that they were using as they were going through their adoption process. And we chose Carnegie Learning for a 7-year contract, including professional development and the use of the digital learning environment. Some freebie items for the classroom, as they kind of always do with this, but the quote for that was $238,570, and that's for a 7-year contract. For English Language Arts, we started second semester on that process. And again, there we did have approved textbook series from VDOE, and there were 5 on the list. We went with 4 because one of them didn't have their literature and their writing program aligned, so we threw it out because we wanted total alignment. And our number 1 parameter on this was that we would, this time around, traditionally we've let 6-8 pick what they wanted, and we've let 9-12 pick what they wanted. And Dr. Whitaker said this time around the parameter is that we're going to do a 6-12 vertical aligned series, which we did. So they were all, of course, approved by the state to have met the criteria for standards of learning. All staff was involved, everybody except maybe 3 teachers that didn't make it to the grade level evaluations of the resources. Teachers narrowed it down to 2. We had vendors in for the top 2. And the one that had the most votes for implementing was McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill has an incredible digital environment, really state-of-the-art, very robust and rigorous, and I think it's going to be a great implementation process. We went with a 3-year contract on this one to stay within the funding that was allocated for us, and so that will be $359,150. So we met the target that was set for us by finance to stay below $750, and they're there for you. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
I do think it's important to note with the discrepancy in years as well. The adoption cycles typically are a 7-year adoption. We are several years behind on English. And so when we adopt at 3, that'll take us right to the beginning of the next cycle, at which time we would have to either pick a new book anyways, or if this book was not already on that approved list, go through our local adoption to approve it. So our teachers will have an opportunity, when we get to that adoption cycle, if they really love this textbook and it's on the new list, then we could re-adopt it. And if it wasn't and they really loved it, then we could do the local adoption process. But it just made more fiscal sense to get us back on track with the adoption cycle so that we have the funds available each time we're adopting the textbooks that are coming forward. I'd also like to applaud Dr. Meyer on the work that she did. It is an enormous amount of time and work coordinating this, so I thank her on that. And also, she did hear a lot from me about budget, so I appreciate her hearing that.
I did. But the real thanks go to the teachers who really came to the table to work on this, and they have got to own this, because this is really what they're going to use to learn with the students. They're going to be learning right along with the students, so it's so incredible that they own it. Both of the companies have provided us with professional development to help us get started, and we're going to get started in the fall. They are very anxious to get online and start seeing them, but until I have approval to send off that purchase order, both companies are saying, no, we're not giving you access yet. We want to see that PO first. So in a couple weeks, once that's done, we will get that, and both companies have assured us that they'll work with our technology department, and we'll be able to get them in this summer to start perusing.
Any questions?
And the only question I had was just, I'm helping you understand the process since I'm kind of new to this. You kind of touched on this, but it sounds like you gathered feedback and there was some whittling down process to a subset, and then there was a vote. Like, can you explain that a little bit, just so I understand everything that kind of went into these decisions?
We looked at all of the potential ones. Everybody started out with those, and we had a rubric. And on the forms that you have, you can actually click on and see a copy of the rubric that we used to evaluate it. So we evaluated it for a number of dimensions. And then after that, then the team voted on which ones. I really pushed them to get the only top 2, because the more you get up there, the harder it is. It's like you pick the top 2, and then we're going to choose from that. And so they all supported that piece in terms of the top 2. We're in total agreement with that. Now, on world language, it was total consensus. Everybody, all 3 languages are using the same series. Also, I think for the first time ever, Spanish always kind of went off and did their own thing. German and French were using the same series. They've all picked the same series, which is really good, because if a kid takes 2 years of one language and 2 years of another, the platform that they're now using digitally is the same. And that's really nice. And that'll be true for 6-8 too. The platform all the way up from 6 through 8 is the same platform. So whatever grade the kid's in, they're not learning a new digital environment with that piece. For English language arts, we whittled it down to the 4. We didn't do the 5th one because of not having reading and writing aligned. And out of that, they very quickly threw one out. They weren't interested in it at all. And we were down to 3. And so I sent out a little rating form, and the 2 that had the highest ratings were who we brought in vendor-wise. The vendor presentations were phenomenal. They really got to see what they'd be working with, and they needed that more than anything, not the textbook. How's it going to look for students, and how's it going to look for me? And it was a 70-40 split, 60-40 split. And we said, top 1, that's the one we're going with. And so we're going with McGraw-Hill. It's really a phenomenal series. And I think once people get in and see it, the 40% are going to see that it's maybe better than they thought it was. I'm hoping.
Great. Thanks for explaining that. I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Well, I'll just say, the world that we live in today with books and our texts are not the same ones that many, many, many thousands of years ago that I went through with. Dick and Jane ran after the ball with Spot, right? And it was pretty simple. So I'm just glad to see and hope that the public understands we are preparing our students for the 21st century.
Yes, we are. Yeah. I've been doing this 50 years, and this is the hardest textbook series. I've done tons of them. This was the hardest textbook series ever, because you really had to get away from looking at the resources,
Right.
which we've always done. We've looked at the ones with the good pictures, and I like this part, and I like that part, or how many novels, or how many this, to really look digitally and dig into what's going to engage our students digitally. And that was the kind of the guiding force for what we did. But you're right, it is very different, very different. Oh, just one last caveat. We did, I know I'm not supposed to talk so much, but we did advertise for outside parents. We had options. I was here 3 nights for world language and 3 nights for the textbook, or for English language arts. We had no parent input or any outside community input, but you did have teacher input, and so across the board. So I think we won on that one. So.
And
thanks.
I thank you for providing those opportunities. We can't make folks come, but we can certainly provide that opportunity. So thank you for using your time to do that.
Yeah, it's okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Meyer.
Next, we have Katie Larimer. She's going to provide you our update for our virtual school program. They reached out to the families as we asked them at the last time, and she's going to give us the update. And Mark Husband is here to accompany her.
Somewhere. So during our April 26th meeting, you guys had asked for us to contact the families who had signed up for the virtual school program. So we spent the last few weeks doing that and compiling data. As a result of those efforts, we do have a more complete picture of what our virtual school options might look like for next year. So as you can see, that's not the right slides.
The one in Word docs should be appropriate.
But it's a PDF and not with help.
I think we have some updated data that they're
We
going to pull
do.
up for us.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Word docs, it's something different.
I will say, while they were pulling that up, Ms. Franklin, we had a similar conversation about the changes today. I was talking with Mr. Wickham about, now we kind of got to onboard kids when they get here and teach them how to use Google platform and get them up to speed. And it is a whole different time that we are in.
But the children are used to that, and I like the digital aspect of, I remember when I was still teaching English, when they were just starting to have digital versions of all of our books, and there's a lot of advantages to the digital process for teachers also. The books, if you haven't seen some of these English books, they are really large.
Heavy.
And really heavy.
That's right.
They make great doorstops, but they don't get used a lot, unfortunately, because they're just big and heavy. But where I think with the digital, you'll see much more use,
I think so.
because it doesn't, they're not these big giant books that have to be carried around, so.
Sure.
Yeah, so that didn't change.
All right.
So overall, you can see that we had 53 students who said that they would continue with the virtual school program if we move forward with Virtual Virginia. 6 students said that they would return to MCPS in person. 4 said that they would leave Montgomery County Public Schools. And then we have 5 families that we have reached out to and talked to that are still undecided and are going to be following up with either Mark or I. And then unfortunately, we do have 13 students' families who we could not reach by multiple means of communication. So this slide is the same information but broken down between elementary, middle school, and high school. So with that survey information in mind, Mark and I revisited the cost estimates for option 2 and option 3. So as you can see, option 2, our cost estimate has decreased. Back on April 26th, we estimated that the cost of option 2 would be approximately $247,000. And now, because we have a decreased number of students who want to participate, we are looking at $182,900 as an estimate. Mm-hmm. And then option 3, of course, our discontinuing virtual school, our cost estimate is really dependent on the potential loss of ADM funding. And then finally, if the board does decide to continue with the virtual school program by using Virtual Virginia, our VSP team does recommend that our virtual students remain in their residentially zoned schools for the coming school year.
Thank you so much. I'd like to say thank you to them for making the phone calls. I think it made such a difference to our families to get that outreach. And I know that did not happen quickly. So thank you so much, because I think it was very meaningful to them.
Yes, thank you for that. Questions for Katie on her statistics here? Or any discussion regarding the virtual options? Obviously, to this evening, we're going to have a vote. So if we want to do that first, if somebody wants to make a motion about the virtual program offerings, and then we can have discussion. No?
For the sake of discussion, motion to accept option 3.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to discontinue the virtual, our virtual option. Discussion on that.
So what does staffing look like if we do option 2?
We don't staff.
So our staffing would come from Virtual Virginia. So the teachers would be Virtual Virginia teachers.
So it doesn't impact MCPS right at all? Right.
I think one thing for us to note, is the funding we do have, to pay for the Virtual Virginia, because we have our CARES funding available, and that's appropriate use of this. It's just important for the board to keep in mind that those funds do expire. So that is not something that, would be then in the Montgomery County budget every year, because we would be using those funds that are dedicated, based upon the needs that we have at this time. So we could do that, but I just want to make sure the board is aware of that is the funding stream at this time. And if we decided after that to continue, we would have to identify other funds moving forward.
Ms. Drake, could you go back to the previous page so we can see the statistics again as we're talking? Oh, I'm sorry. You're in control. Maybe you can kind of see if we can get both pages at the same, page 2 and 3. See, I have mine open like this. I guess not. Okay. That's good enough. At least gives us something to work with. Anybody else have any comments about?
I guess I'll throw in, I would definitely be in favor of continuing a Virtual Virginia at least for a period. I guess we could decide how long we want to do that, but I definitely heard from plenty of families who still have concerns. We're definitely adamant about keeping some form of virtual, and COVID numbers are already going back up, and we're crossing our fingers and hoping to understand what they're going to look like in the fall, but I don't feel like now is the right time to cancel that.
So with discussion, I'm going to withdraw my motion. We had to discuss it, so.
Okay.
Did I miss the potential loss of ADM funding? Did you have a figure that was associated with that? And I just didn't see it or.
Read my mind.
No, we do not. Is our estimate, Mark, still $6,700 a student?
I mean, I'm just
Is that
thinking
still
if
accurate?
is it like a wash kind of situation? It's not? Okay.
No, because for for the 4 that they've confirmed that's leaving MCPS, that'll be 4 times the student ADM that we get. And then the 5 and the 13, I mean, there's a lot of unknown there with those last 2 categories. So that would total up to something like.
We did have it in the last one,
There is a lot of
yeah.
known. Yes, in the previous presentation, we had estimated it 50% of our
yeah.
original number, which was 81. As we went through and talked to families, that seems to be high. It would be really difficult to give you an exact estimate of what that loss of ADM. Obviously, the minimum would be 4. They've already committed to leaving. There would be some families that we spoke to that have chosen Virtual Virginia that would look to private options, that would look to homeschool. I'm not sure that I can really even give you a guess. It would not be up to $182,000. It'd be somewhere lower.
Yeah, so how much do we get per student? 6,000?
6,700, I believe, is the number that we used.
So
we
that
got
would
from
be,
finance.
for the 4, 5, and 13, the last 3 rows, that would be 147,400.
Yeah, that comes close to offsetting.
So you're talking a $40,000 difference, basically.
Right.
So.
Not a huge amount. Anybody else have comments about it?
But as long as we still have CARES funds to support option 2, then I'm with Linwood.
I agree with Ms. Franklin. As long as that funding is still there and is reasonable for us to use for this, I say we take advantage of it and use it because of the concern that's still there with some of our students, and I do still want our community and our students to have that option. So as long as we are able to have that funding, I say for right now, I'm good with continuing it.
I agree as well.
So we withdraw, Ms. Franklin withdrew her.
We're ready for a new motion whenever the board is ready.
Okay.
A motion that we accept option 2.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Ms. Cass. The VSP team also asked that those virtual students be assigned to their residentially zoned school. Ms. Graham, do you agree to amend your motion to include that?
Yes, please.
And I missed the second. I'm so sorry. Ms. Franklin, do you agree as well? Okay. I'll get that motion in. If you'll give me just 1 second, please.
While you're doing that, let's talk about that a little bit and what that means. So that additional piece means that the students themselves would be part of the school. Right now, they're out of Eastmont?
Yeah,
For the current year,
For the
they're still
current
at the
year.
residentially zoned. We're still operating off of a one-year.
The original, okay.
Yes, moratorium.
So
if
they
you
would
will.
stay. So for example, if they are a Christiansburg student, a Christiansburg High School, they're from Christiansburg and they're a high school student, they would still be part of Christiansburg High School, which means they could still participate in Christiansburg athletics.
Correct. And the biggest reason for
Or events.
activities, any activities within.
And the biggest reason that we originally made a year ago now, 18 months ago now, was staffing. There was capacity in the Shawsville strand. With the decision to
Right.
move to virtual Virginia and with our lower enrollment numbers, that really isn't a factor anymore. So working with student services and special education, there will continue to be additional demands on those departments as well as technology, just to make sure that we're communicating and keeping everybody on a level playing field in terms of making sure that we're checking attendance and we're checking to make sure that academic progress is being made. But with the lower numbers, we feel like we can do that without.
Zones.
Yes, exactly right. Basically, the virtual school team, instead of attempting to coordinate with all of our counselors and all of our registrars and our attendance secretaries and everything else, we feel like it's a much more manageable task. And this, of course, is the preference for most of our families that we've heard over the past year plus.
Okay.
And we would then bring you a policy revision based upon your vote, which would then update our virtual school policy to state the homeschool.
Okay.
Correct.
So the motion on the floor is accept option 2 to continue the virtual Virginia program for the virtual school program, and all virtual students will be enrolled in their residentially zoned school. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank
Right.
you.
Next, we have Katie here with us. We've asked Ms. Miano to provide an update on our budget planning process, and so she's just going to give us a brief update, because there's not too much to update, but she's going to share with us what she can.
Good evening, Chair Cass, board members, Dr. Whitaker. She did ask me to give a brief update tonight. As you know, the Board of Supervisors approved their budget, and that included the school operating budget, which was based on the governor's approved budget. I had a big, long spiel, but I just had an article in the Roanoke Times.
Oh, did you?
That looks promising.
Okay.
So I'm just going to skip straight to that.
Okay.
It looks like they are going to be called back here in a few weeks, the beginning of June, and they are hoping to have something approved before the end of June. I can send out a link to the article through Dr. Whitaker or Ms. Drake if I need to, but it looks like hopefully we'll have something to bring back to you for approval near the end of June.
When was that article in the Roanoke Times? Today?
Like 2 hours ago.
Oh, it's on, and I'm like, okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there's anything we can ask.
It's, Katie, it's not clear to me where we are in this whole cycle with the state. I feel like this year has been a little bit different than other years. So is that something that you can give us an update on? I mean, is the state budget set at this point?
it is
Or
not.
it's still not, but isn't
is
it normally
not
set at this point?
Yes,
Or
sir.
okay.
Yes.
So it's not just me.
No, it's
No,
not.
they
this
had
year.
a long session. It's the first year that they approved the biennium, and they haven't been able to come to an agreement.
Okay.
And so they were dismissed, and they've been called back, and they'll be called back again to approve a budget.
For the same discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what that means for us is at this time, we're in a waiting place for our employees' contracts for next year.
Yeah.
And so we've communicated to them, and they are aware. And then what we're doing as well is to work through, since we don't know what the number is we have to work with. We have a meeting coming up very shortly to begin looking again at what could we do. The 5% that was in that original budget, we did not receive the funding for. So we're going to have to look at what can we do and what does that look like. Our team is meeting Friday to work on that, so that as things move forward, we'll be ahead of the game and have some options to bring to you.
Yeah. This is affecting a lot of organizations, and
It
Virginia
is.
Tech's having the same discussions, planning for increases, but nothing can be approved.
My magic ball has broken.
Yeah, I mean, one of my concerns on all of this is that, in years past, we've gotten this information earlier. So usually we've put forward, this is what we need. These are some of the things that would be nice to have. And then there's always some time after we get the budget from the state to go back, because we've had some good years, but there's been a lot of years when, everything that we've wanted obviously doesn't get funded. So we have to go back and decide what's going to change, what's not. I'm just I'm getting a little bit worried because of the time frame that we're going to have to make some pretty major changes to our budget in a very short amount of time when things come through, especially if the money, some of the money that we're counting on doesn't actually materialize the way that we're hoping that it does. So.
Us and every school district in Virginia.
Yep, that's part of the budget process.
And university and other organizations that are
I'll
dependent
take
upon
it.
government
It's-
funding.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I guess.
There's not much we can do.
Well, I guess maybe not, but maybe I think it would be nice to look at the budget and game out some of the, what's likely and everything from the full, 5% raise plus everything we want versus we're getting very little. And, what's the first thing that we as a board, are going to cut and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that we necessarily, it would be nice if we had that discussion
And that's
together.
what Dr.
but-
Whitaker said her team was going to be getting
That's what she
together
said they
to
were doing
do,
this Friday.
so
Okay.
they could bring that back to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Katie.
Thank you.
So next is the COVID update, and we're bringing back,
Yes.
due to popular demand,
The duo
team of Jason
Knott
and Danny.
Gibson, that's right.
We've missed you.
If I could sing, I would sing a welcome back song, but I cannot.
I wouldn't, because that means it's not so good.
Well, I'm just going to say the band is back for a one-night-only reunion tour.
We hope.
We hope. Thank you very much for having us back. As we had been doing in previous board meetings when we were doing this report, we gathered data that helped you see where our absences were, how many absences we had, our fill rates, how we were handling things. And, want to remind everyone, pre-COVID, our average fill rate was right around 92%. I also want to remind everyone that nationwide substitute fill rates throughout this pandemic have been very low, in the 60s to low 70s, and we have over the course of time been much higher than that here. So we've done better than the national average, not as well as we would have liked in some cases, but you can see our numbers here, all in the 84 to 92% fill rate over the course of 7 weeks. Of data that we have going back to the week of April 4th through 8th. Does anybody have any questions about this data?
Mr. Knott, you can round to 2 decimal places.
Okay.
There you go. 13.333.
Ms. Widener, we can round. Ms. Widener helps me greatly with this. So,
There you go.
She's very detailed.
Well, she is. Any questions other than the rounding issue?
Oh, I'm joking with you.
Okay.
So far, it looks like the impact upon the fill rate has been limited.
Yes. And we typically, this time of year, see a lower fill rate because teachers have saved annual leave days. They're taking days when the weather's nice. And
Graduations
and then
and-
their families have graduation that they have to go to and attend. So, yeah, our fill rates are usually a little lower right around here, except this last week. Normally, they're high the last week of school.
And with the exams this week, I would think we'll have a lot more subs who are available in the other schools, so I would bet I would hope it would be.
Not exams, but SOL tests.
Thank you, SOLs, I apologize.
Yes, our
I just
SOL
aged
testing.
myself.
At the high school level, we're not going to really see a need for substitutes the remainder of this week because of the SOL testing, so we'll have more available for other schools. As we have done in the past as well, I did go back and I looked at just the last 2 weeks here, and you can see we did have some schools that had more than 3 unfilled positions. Some of these were due to some testing that we have been doing where they requested a sub to help with testing and they just didn't get the sub. Some subs don't want to sub for testing, so You can see BHS and CMS here last week. And then you can see 2 weeks ago, and then this past week, you can see we had some more, again, this time of year with the weather, people are wanting to take off. So this is not too unusual. And when we had large numbers like this, we did send emails out to our subs asking them to pick up jobs. Any questions for me? All right, I'll turn it over to the lead singer, Mr. Garrettson.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Whitaker. We did promise the board that when we saw changes in SOL or COVID numbers, it's on my brain now. We saw changes in COVID numbers, we would come back. And so, as we've seen that, as Mr. Hudson mentioned, we have seen an increase in the community. Of course, we see that passed on and reflected in the school division as well. So we kind of reached out, and my understanding is the board said, sure, give us another presentation just so we're in the know and for our public to be in the know. So again, the same slides that you've seen before. We went back to the last full week of school, the 19th through the 13th. During that week, we reported 100 positive cases, 100 on the nose, 20 staff and 80 students. The graphic there, I know that can be hard to read, but that's straight off our website. Again, that just shows total numbers for the year at each of our locations across the division. I think it's important to note, well, maybe the next slide, sure. So the next slide here, this comes from our health department, and of course it reflects there on the farther right end that increase that we've seen recently. They are saying this week it's been a little bit more of a plateau. I would like to remind the board and the public that our health department officials did kind of forewarn this a little bit as the numbers really started to come down and we really started to feel good. They were kind of cautious to say, hey guys, there's a real likelihood that we're going to see some ebbs and flows, right? This thought of anytime really soon is probably not going to happen. So we're seeing exactly what they forecast that we would see. But again, as those numbers begin to go up, we understand that lots of people get concerns and want to make sure they have all the information they need to make the best decisions possible. Some student attendance data, again, the same week, the 9th through the 13th. And these numbers, as I calculated them, I really started to think about the last little bit of the school year anyway. This probably isn't our best time for attendance anyway. So you're going to see that reflected in the numbers. And I would not say that these numbers are wholly based on anything having to do with COVID. It's a combination of COVID and time of the year. But still, our attendance rate for the week is a good, healthy 93.2. Highest school during that time was 96.1. Lowest school at that time was 87.7. Does not reflect Montgomery Central because of their very small student body, but I can also say the 87.7 you've got there is also in one of our smaller schools where it really doesn't take a whole lot of students to tip the needle. We do still have 166 secondary school days reported as remote. Presumably those are COVID cases in which the student is at home still doing their work, keeping up, technically counted present but remote. If you were to throw that 166 in there, that lowers our number down for the division to 92.8. Again, we say 93 to 95 is pretty much our division average throughout the school year. Some additional topics, again, just to share and provide to the board. As of May 12th, that's last Thursday, the CDC did update Montgomery County's transmission level to medium. Again, we're operating now in a model that's low, medium, and high. We had been low for a good while there, and of course with this increase in numbers, each Thursday they give us the update, and at this last update, Montgomery County and several other counties in the state bounced up to medium. That's a clip directly from the CDC page, so you can see the guidance. It still really talks about kind of individualized decisions around your COVID risk. In communication with our health department this week, they reinforced the same thought, that each individual or each family needs to think about their relative risk and respond accordingly based on that in terms of masks or vaccines or any other safety measures they might put in place. I would like to share that we have registered to continue the VISTA testing program through the summer months as the board has directed. We've done some work with them even as late as today. We look like we are going to have a site in each of the 4 communities and probably one at the school board office as well, so 5 options. You do not have to go to the option where you live necessarily. So scheduling might play in that, where you might say, you know, I'm a Blacksburg family, but the school board date works better for me, so I'm going to go to the school board office. And that would be just fine. We're hammering out the final schedule, and we'll get that out hopefully in the next couple days. The Virginia Department of Health and Department of Education has also announced that they plan to continue VISTA through the next school year. We had heard some rumors about the summer, and they went ahead and pulled the Band-Aid off and said all the way to next year. We have tentatively went ahead just and expressed interest. We wanted to go ahead and put that out there because VISTA had kind of said, you know, let's go ahead and get that ball rolling to be in place for August. I did check, we can pull that back, but if it pleases the board, we will continue to leave that request in there and kind of set that aside and have it in place and prepared for next year unless the board wants to direct us otherwise. Right now, we kind of just are saving our seat unless you give us a different direction. And additionally, we did want to double check with the board. Of course, Friday is our last school day. We've got about a week or so without students, and then we come right back into summer school, and we did want to know the board's thoughts on continuing the COVID dashboard through the summer with summer school. And that's all of my presentation. Of course, I'm available for questions, and Danny's available for many, many, many more questions.
Well, I would say that we continue so that we have an idea of the way things are trending as we get ready to reopen.
I would agree with that. I do wonder how do you collect, is the data collected through a spreadsheet? Is the data collected and entered in through a spreadsheet? Where's it, how's it stored?
I have that data in my office. It comes through a variety of channels. All the employee data comes from Danny and Amanda to me. All the student data filters up through the clinics to the lead nurse to me. I kind of warehouse all of that data.
Here's where I'm going with this.
Yes, sir.
Every time I see that graphic where you have all the different schools and the cumulative totals for the year, I mean, this isn't nothing against you or anybody who's come. I mean, it's good information to have, but I'm always looking for something more like what you showed us on the Montgomery County Health. Yeah, I'm looking for more of a timeline, you know, because that helps everybody, I think, see graphically like, oh, things are coming down. Oh, things are flatlining. Things are going up. So I don't know. I feel like maybe we've had this conversation before, but I guess I'm going to keep pushing for, I don't mind having the data the other way if it helps people to see how things are looking in each individual building, but I still wonder if we can provide that other data on the dashboard. Is that
Mr.
something that?
Chewbacca, I'm the one who designs those graphs. Jason does
okay.
the input now. We were
okay.
able to find a Google Sheet connection into the graphs, but we do offer a day-by-day graph that shows the movement.
For the whole county, or is it, how does that?
For the whole county,
Okay.
and then it actually shows the breakdown by school on that graph.
Oh,
So
okay,
it'll
all right.
say we reported 20 cases today, this many at this school, this many at this,
Okay.
and then you'll see it pop up.
So maybe
I
it's just our
think-
board, and maybe it's just the graphics that make it to the
I think, yeah,
PowerPoint.
Jason uses
Okay.
that as a point in time
Fair
for a
enough.
weekly summary, right?
Fair enough.
One thing that I have noticed with that graph is because we went up so high, now that we're a little bit lower, it's compressed.
Yes.
So it is harder to see those movements.
Yes.
But if I change the scale of the graph, if you were to go back and look, things would be off the chart. People wouldn't be able to see the historical data. But that information is available on our COVID data website.
Okay.
Any other comments for Mr. Garrettson? Okay, thank you. It's good seeing you again. No, actually, no, it wasn't, because that means there's more COVID, so maybe it's not
There you
good.
go.
It's always good to see you, but not talking about COVID.
I understood.
Okay. Clarify. Okay, so the next topic is voting procedures. And the reason it is on the agenda is we had, from our previous meeting, a bit of a concern in voting, and we had to do a revote because we came back from our personnel, or our closed session, and had a vote, and we weren't sure if we got it right or not. So even though things are resolved now I thought it would be helpful for us to talk about our voting procedures moving forward. Brad has advised us that we should consider a roll call voting for all votes as opposed to the ayes and nays. And Brenda has requested, at least at minimum, that our votes are roll call when we've stopped recording the meeting. Because what happened last time was the meeting wasn't being recorded anymore because it was after closed session, so we couldn't even go back to the videotape, so to say. So I guess I'm going to just kind of open up to discussion, your thoughts on our voting procedures, and any other discussion you might want to have on that particular topic.
I agree. I think it's a good idea to make sure everybody understands what's happening.
I agree. I don't have a problem with it. I think if it would make it more helpful to Brenda and for recording purposes, I think that's totally feasible.
So basically, you're saying, no, we'll not use ayes and nays anymore and just go with roll call for all votes?
I mean,
What about for like things like, say, just say for example, tonight, we had what, how many grants votes we had to do? So we would have had to do a roll call for every single one of those.
Yes. And I'm going to ask for you to, and I'm going to ask for you to take action on this. I think that it's fair for you as a board and for me as a clerk for this to be an action item for the board where you are deciding how you're going to conduct your meeting. So
I thought there was a difference in something like that, though, than a personnel issue. I thought there were certain standards that required a roll call vote opposed to just an agreeing upon vote.
That's what I was thinking.
Policies typically do. We did a policy tonight that was not a roll call vote. It was ayes and nays. I think, you know, again, the advice from the attorney is for every vote because the board members themselves, as a group, couldn't agree on what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were, 10 people in that room, and those 10 people couldn't agree on what happened. The only solution to that is a roll call vote. And again, my request, as Ms. Cass very accurately represented, is that if there's not going to be a video recording, then every vote at that point is roll call. But I work for the pleasure of the board, so.
Definitely any vote after midnight needs to have a roll call.
I would prefer they not occur at all after midnight.
And I normally thought, to my best recollection, I remember doing personnel by roll call.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure
I was
what
shocked
happened.
that it was
but-
that way.
Right.
Yeah, I always thought it was roll call.
I think.
Okay, well then.
I think that you bring up a good point, Ms. I mean, I don't know that we need to swing too far in one direction, but I do agree with Ms. Drake that if it's not being recorded, we probably should do roll call on everything. But if it is being recorded, I do think that there are certain things like, you know, the grant proposals that you referred to that I would be okay for that to continue to be A's and A's.
I guess the question on that would be, how do you determine what, right? Yeah, and then you end up with.
I think all policy, anything with personnel, you can do that way. I mean, if you want, you could just say, I mean, how often do we have things like that? Minutes and grants, you could just
We
make
don't have
A's or
very many
nays.
grants like that very
Right,
often.
right.
They're usually in consent.
Yeah. Well, I'll make a motion that we do a roll call vote on all votes.
Second.
Okay. You want to just go ahead and, let's do a roll call.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Chewbacca?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
And what we learned in our recent Robert's Rules?
Is that I'm not supposed to vote?
Oh, no,
yeah.
that
Oh.
wasn't what I was going to say at all. 7 in favor, 0 opposed. It is your job to call the motion, not mine.
Say that one more time?
So you
I'm
say
supposed to
whether or
say
not it
7 in favor, 0 opposed. You are the one who says motion carries.
Motion carries.
passed. There you go.
I'll practice that.
All right.
And I'll change my
Okay.
name so I'm not the first one always.
Well, that was another conversation.
That's required by Robert's Rules of
Yes,
Order.
okay.
It's why I've recommended that professional parliamentarian. You can start having some separate rules that come off. I can't facilitate that process for you.
Jamie, you can pass. I mean, you know, you can always
Yeah,
pass.
no, I'm fine
Yeah.
with it. I'm just being
So,
Been a rough day, let me have a little fun, okay?
There you go. That's
so
it.
motion
Been
passes.
through it today.
We will do roll call. Let's see how it goes. You know, we do it, and I can't imagine it's going to eat up that much extra time by doing roll call versus ayes and nays. Plus, maybe it'll be easier when somebody's on the phone and we can tell
Yes, for sure.
how they voted, because it's always like there's this
It's always a
lag.
delay.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're saying no. Okay, the next update is the superintendent search process. That's me. So we've selected, if people have not heard, we have selected GR Recruiting for our superintendent search. They spoke to us last week, or was it last week? Yeah, it was last Monday we had our meeting. We had two firms, McPherson and Jacobson, I was going to say Jackson, I was close, who presented on Zoom, and then we had GR Recruiting, who actually we had somebody come in person here, and then we met with them after, and we have decided to go with GR Recruiting, and I signed off on the contract yesterday, and it has gone to GR Recruiting. Today, Penny and I spoke with Gary Ray, who is the I guess you call him the owner of the recruiting firm, to just start dialogue. And I was going to send this in an email, but I'm going to just, since I have all of you here as a captive audience right now, as the board, what we'd like to try to do is next Tuesday have a board meeting to have, they're going to present specifics on timeline and how they're going to be rolling everything out, and community involvement, and all the things that we would like to see in getting the search started. So my question to all of you is to look at your calendars, or not question, my request is to look at your calendars, see if maybe either, he mentioned Tuesday or Wednesday next week, and I know that we're getting closer to the Memorial Day weekend, but hopefully, if you could look at your calendars and let me know if either one of those evenings work for you, or both, let me know as soon as possible. And I'll send out a reminder after the meeting tonight, but if you could take a look at that, that would be our next step. Another step is also to establish who our point of contact would be with them. Historically, this has been the board chair. What I'd like to recommend that it be both myself and Penny.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh, sorry. Penny, would you like to help with this?
Spoiler.
Well, at least, I mean, I don't mind being, but just in case I'm not available, and I'm not, and I need a backup. So, and I never know if I have to go out of town or something. So it's good to have somebody who's backing up on that. But I will. That's up to the will of the board if you are agreeable to that. Do we need to vote on that?
Tonight's probably not the night to ask me that question. My response is going to say you probably should.
Okay. So I can't make a motion, can I? Or can I?
It's not advised, but
It's
you
not
may.
advised. Okay. Make a motion.
Because we try not to vote on our work session nights.
Oh, that's right. So we could
It's
bring
because she's the chair.
Huh?
Because she's the chair, it's not advised, but you may.
But I can. I think in this case we probably want to make this decision. So
You would like to assign
myself and Penny as the point people for the search. If you're
I'll make a motion to do that, because I think we don't need to wait another week or two on this process. So I'll make a motion to assign Sue as our primary point of contact with GR, and Penny as a backup.
Second.
So I guess in discussion, Penny, are you okay with that? Because we could, I mean, if you're not, okay, all right.
Okay, then let's do a vote.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Chewbacca?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries.
Very good.
All right. And so now I'll provide for you my brief update. Of course, as we know, graduation is this weekend, so we are excited for that at all 4 of our schools. Also would like to recognize the work of all of the individuals, whether they were able to be here tonight be here tonight or not, our support staff employees of the year. I know we say it a lot, but I don't think we say it enough, which is there is no way that we could function day to day without all of the people who make our school division what it is. You know, and you never know which person is that child's person that day. You never know what words make a difference in a child's life or what they always remember, but a lot of times it's our support staff who are those people. So I just really want to acknowledge them tonight and thank our HR department for doing that process, but it's really important that we recognize those individuals.
It's interesting you say that, Annie, because I can barely remember my teachers' names from elementary school, but boy, can I remember the names of the custodians and the cafeteria workers and the aides that worked on our playground. I can remember all their names.
That's right.
And I would like to thank the Rotary Club for
Yes.
their
Oh,
wonderful
wow.
gift. That was
Wowza.
just outstanding.
Another, is I'd like to share with the public that we are going to be having an opportunity at our next meeting on the 7th for public input on our memorandums of understanding with our school resource officers. So this is something that we have to do every year, and we'll be having that opportunity at our June 7th meeting, and if people would like to give input into that. Next, I want to let you know, we've talked a little bit about pre-K. We are working all the time to expand our pre-K offerings. Ms. Altizer is the individual who works most closely with that, but wanted to share with you that we are still continuing to seek additional spots. What happens is we reach out to the community and we say who is interested, and we have to gather that interest so that if more spots become available from the state, we can grab them up because we know that we have individuals interested. So if you are someone in the community and you think that you may have a 3-year-old looking for pre-K, I encourage you to reach out. We're doing advertising on our social media. It's also on our website. But the best thing to do is to get those applications in, because that's how we show that we need the spots and that we can get additional spots. So I just wanted to put that out there into the community for individuals to share and to make sure the board is aware we're continuing to try and increase our pre-K program. I also wanted to let you know that we are merging. We've talked about our summer school programs. We did need to merge our middle school programs. So SMS, AMS, and CMS will all be housed at CMS. Blacksburg Middle School will continue to be housed at Blacksburg Middle School. But due to the number of students who signed up, as well as our staffing capacity, it makes much more sense to put our programs together as opposed to be offering at each of the different schools. And so, of course, we will provide transportation, but it really was the way that we were able to continue to move forward with our summer school program in middle school. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Annie. Unfinished business. It doesn't look like we have any items of unfinished business. New business. Do we have any items of new business?
I'm not sure if this falls under new business or announcement. Again, I'm sorry. So I just want to say publicly thank you to Mr. Ford for coming up from down the mountain in my district, who I hardly ever have anyone able to come and public speak about what's going on down in my district. I think he did a very good job of speaking about some of the needs that are needing to be done down there. I would, now that this has been publicly addressed to the board, I can say that he reached out to me about a year ago. I did make it a point to go down and check out the track. The track was not in good shape when I went down. I did talk with Mr. Krantz about that. He advised that he would go down and look at it. At that point, the track was not technically unusable, so it was on the list of things to get done. So I got back with Mr. Ford and explained to him that, it was being looked at by the administration, and that was on our list of things to do and to update. Apparently, since then, it has gotten a lot worse. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get down there to check out how much worse it had gotten because of my surgery. I was out for a couple months with rehab and all of that. But I recently went down about a week and a half ago, and when it gets to the point to where one of our schools can't even hold a sporting event because of the condition of a track or whatever it may be, in my personal opinion, that deserves our immediate attention. So I would like for the board to consider and maybe think about hopefully putting this on the agenda as an agenda item for something that needs to be immediately looked at and fixed, as well as maybe some of the other items around the school. I know we like to keep our other schools in tip-top shape, and I haven't heard of any other schools not being able to hold athletic events due to the condition of a tennis court, a track, or anything like that. So Eastern Montgomery should not be able to hold an athletic event due to the condition of a track or anything like that. So I would seriously like you, Chair Cass, and Vice Chair Ms. Franklin, to seriously consider to expedite the necessary needs to have this looked at and get this fixed, hopefully before school starts next year, because I really don't want those students to have to go without being able to have their events there due to that, whatever we need to do.
Can we ask, I guess?
Yeah, we have an estimate on the
facilities to-
project already, so if you'd like to let me know when you would like me to bring it back, I can certainly have that information for you.
Can we bring it back to the next meeting? We don't have a meeting for 3 weeks, so.
June 7th?
June 7th?
Absolutely.
No, we got several things in there, but most of them are several things
fine.
are ones we talked about already, so.
Okay, she's saying June 21st meeting has a lot more room.
Well, let's, because I don't know about, we need to talk about a
Timelines.
retreat. I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
So.
You know, I do want to say in terms of projects, I'm not certain how much more our team can take on at this time in terms of getting it done this summer.
hear
I'm
you.
not saying we can't, but, you know, in terms of the timeliness of the presentation, I know that their projects for this summer are back-to-back booked up. It could be a situation where we brought someone in, you know, so we can certainly, I can bring that information back. We have the estimate, so it wouldn't take us any time just to present to you.
Okay, if you have that already, then that, you can present it to us at the next meeting, and then, but we can discuss at that point in time if
Absolutely.
we want to try to move forward or not.
Okay.
Be nice if, to see what it looked like. I'll have to take a ride out there.
Well,
I do have some
I have-
pictures I can share as
Yeah.
well.
He sent pictures
Yeah,
last year with grass growing out of
Yes.
cracks, and
Yes.
so that was a year ago.
Yes.
So,
It's gotten considerably worse. I mean, if they're saying you can't hold a meet,
Yeah, that's
that's pretty bad.
yeah.
Hear you. No, that's not acceptable. Okay. So any other new business items? Announcements? Anybody have any announcements they'd like to make?
I have a question. So I had some parents reach out and want to thank her again for her wonderful work on the textbooks. And I noticed she mentioned that there was an opportunity for parental input, but I wasn't sure how that parental input was put out to parents to inform them about coming to have the input on the textbooks.
Sure. We did it through a variety of ways. Ms. Drake might be the best one to answer that.
Yeah, we put that information out on our website. We use the news release function, which also places it on every school website. And if I'm not mistaken, we also did social posts
I believe we
for
did as
those
well.
feedback processes and let people know when and where those materials were available for viewing.
I believe that information's also on the doc, on the timeline. She's linked some things that show where she put those.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I
thanks.
think,
I'll
too,
refer
I've-
them to that
yeah,
too then.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I have been trying to mention it in meetings, just so folks know, because I know sometimes this is the news folks get, which is why I've been trying to do those updates. But, you know, anybody can always call the curriculum office, and we're almost always doing some type of adoption because of the cycles.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other announcements?
I just would like to wish all the graduates congratulations. I won't be at any of the graduations, so that's all I can
You
say.
mind if
I
I-
had more, but I just can't.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So our condolences to Jamie.
Thank you.
Jamie's dad suddenly passed away this past weekend. And
Well, Thursday at the Tech graduation.
at the Virginia Tech graduation, her daughter's graduation. So it's been a very, very difficult weekend for her, and you're in our thoughts and our prayers. I hate saying that term because it gets a bad connotation, but in this case, we are thinking of you, and we will continue to pray for you and your family. And
Thank you.
okay, upcoming school board meetings. June 7th is our next meeting. I'm looking at what we have so far in that meeting. Public input for the SROs, Student Resource Officer, if you don't know what an SRO is. The Gifted Advisory Committee and changes to the gifted plan.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Plan?
These, I think, are from notes we have. So this will be providing an update on the recommendations that came from the Gifted Advisory as well as from our consultants.
Okay.
And then they'll be providing for you our updated plan as we do each year and sharing with you which things were pulled into the plan from the consultant. And so really, it's our annual gifted update for you.
Okay, just feels like we just talked about it not long ago, so I guess time flies.
It does.
Time flies. We'll have our vote on the textbook adoption that was presented this evening, the annual strategic plan update.
Yep.
Work session updates. I guess that was us talking
Live
about.
streaming in your work
Yeah,
sessions.
yeah. We might want to push that one. We'll have to talk about it if we have time. This looks like a pretty full agenda already for the 7th, but do we need to do? They're all full.
That's not what you said 5 minutes
That's
ago.
not what well, I'm saying it now. Because I'm looking at it like, oh my gosh. Oh dear, okay.
And just so you know, those hiring and financial approvals, you'll be giving Dr. Whitaker permission to move forward with financial and human resources concerns through August, through your August meeting, because you don't have meetings currently scheduled in July. So it would begin June 22nd. And then it would move through into that first August meeting, and then you would certify all of those things in August. You would get a report, you would know, but that's what that next agenda item is giving her the authority to move forward with the business of the school division while you're on break.
The federal grant application approvals, again, I'll do the superintendent search update. We will need to add on here either next Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever date is best for everyone. We'll add on our special session to talk with GR recruiting. And the other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to our upcoming meetings is the idea of we have a retreat every year, though retreat isn't really the right word, I guess, because I think of a retreat means we go somewhere and
Get treated.
And get treated, yeah. Have a few mimosas but we generally are here, and it's just a meeting, but it's an opportunity for us to have more discussion in general about what we want to do and how we want to work together. One thing I'd like to have at the retreat, Brenda has mentioned about having a parliamentarian. I'm not so sure we need to have somebody who's available to do that for us on a regular basis, but there is someone who does a parliamentary presentation. I actually saw her a couple of years ago at VSBA, and I thought she was pretty interesting. She made something that's not terribly exciting seem pretty interesting, but I think
Robert's Rules, I love them.
yeah, carry that book everywhere. So it might be helpful I was thinking that might be one thing to have at our retreat, have her come and talk to us and give us an opportunity to ask her some questions about things that have concerned us over the last year or so, because it is getting more complicated, and also when you have more people paying attention, you want to make sure that you're doing everything properly, and so I think it's helpful to do that. But the question would be, when do we want to do a retreat? And so when I saw in here that, I guess, is the 21st a regular scheduled meeting? I didn't think we had a scheduled meeting, and I thought the 7th was our last.
The 7th was going to be your retreat date, and then when a retreat date was not yet decided, we went ahead and moved that to a regular meeting.
So can we make the 21st the retreat date?
If the board wants to have, do we want to move to workshop language? If the board wants to have a workshop on that date, I am always happy to accommodate.
What do y'all think of that, the 21st? So that would be during the day. So this would be more than, not just a, I guess in the past, we've done it as like a day.
Daytime event, yeah.
June.
I have to look at my calendar.
Yep, the 21st.
Mm-hmm. All getting at our phones, looking at our calendars.
So the 21st works for me of June, and next Tuesday, the 24th, works for me for that special meeting, if we can get these out of the way. Just saying.
Same for me.
Okay, I'm good for June too. Okay. Anybody away on vacation that week? Mark Chewbacca?
I might be, but
Oh.
for now, fine.
Hey, at least we're not doing it on our birthdays.
Yeah. True.
If you got your calendar out, look at next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday too. If that works for everyone, we can just get that one nailed down also, possible. So that'd be Tuesday, the 24th.
I will not be in town that week.
You're out of town that's next week.
Tuesday.
You're both out of town.
Um,
Anybody else? Are you around or you're?
well,
I'd like to have at least 5 of us if possible.
I was going to
This
say
is
I can
meeting
do-
with GR.
Yeah, my wife's out of town, and I think I might have a lacrosse game, so I think Tuesday's bad. But Wednesday.
What about Wednesday?
I could probably do Wednesday.
Wednesday doesn't work well for me.
No.
This is an important meeting. This will get things started.
Yeah, we've got to get things rolling. I
Gotta make
mean, I think we have to have it no matter, pretty much, even, we need a quorum, so.
What's that, 4?
4.
And we don't have to rule out electronic participation. I don't want to speak for anybody who's going to be out of town. I know how I feel when I'm out of town. But electronic participation is available as long as we have 4 people in person.
Linwood, you're okay. How about you, Jamie? Tuesday? You're okay, I'm okay. Tuesday. Okay, so let's just make it Tuesday. Mark, if you can make it, great. And if not, what time is your lacrosse game?
It says 6 right now,
Mm.
but it's away, so
Oh, okay.
it shoots the whole evening, really.
Yeah.
So you said it's at 6? Where do you have to go?
He's gonna go.
I don't know yet, sorry. I think it might be a playoff game or something, so I'm not sure.
I was just thinking if a change in time earlier. I know that may be difficult for you, Sue.
Oh, as long as next Tuesday, huh? Ooh. Yeah, let me see, I got my calendar next Tuesday. Yeah, I can't do, I can't do anything before 5 next Tuesday.
I think you've got 4, right? I think you have a quorum.
Okay, well.
I say, I mean, it's going to be mostly informational, right? So from them, so I think I'm comfortable with the 4 of you meeting with them.
Ms. Drake, I think, I don't know if they could hear you.
You likely will have some decision points
Right.
about future meetings, about timelines, how you feel about the timelines.
Salary.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, job
Yeah,
requirements.
these are details that they're going to use to go out and find us candidates. I mean, it's pretty important.
So
What's the following-
What's
what's
wrong?
the
Sorry, what's wrong with Wednesday then?
Penny can't do Wednesday, and plus Dana, I mean, I'm trying to get at least, the majority, more than a majority of us, as many as possible. How about the following week? I mean, I know it's after Memorial Day, but you're out of town then, Jamie?
Yeah. Jamie's gone, but I'll be here. Marty, will you be here the following week? You won't be back yet? Okay. Well, I will be here the following week if that helps.
Which week is that? Jamie, you'll be back? Thursday, the 26th? Gary didn't say. If that worked for him, I can ask him, though.
I mean, is this week out of the question?
I guess he has to gather, they have to put stuff together, and we just met with him today. Yeah, you're on the right. 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th.
I can probably.
Tuesday and Thursday work best for
Thursday works for you? How about you, Marty? Thursday, the 26th? You'll be out of
Can you
town.
dial in, or?
You're still out of town, yeah, and you're out of town. Next week, the 26th of May, yeah.
I'll be back by the.
Jamie, you can do the 26th?
The 26th, yes.
Linwood, you can do the 26th? Mark?
I
Or
think
you have
so.
another game?
No, no. I think I can.
Penny, you can do 26th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's make it the 26th. But I got to talk to Gary. We got to find out from Gary if he can do it.
Okay.
Let's say 6. Is that bad for anybody? Is 6 too early? I'd rather get started sooner.
Yep.
And then get done. Okay, 6. I can do 6, yeah. I'll email him this evening and see if that works for him.
And then, Ms. Cass, did you all say the 21st for the retreat?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm.
And we'll do it, I guess, during the day. We start at like noon or something, or?
I'll be reaching out to you about time and also agenda items. Typically, the chair would reach out to board members and talk to them, also
Okay.
to the vice chair. So sometimes our time is
Reach out.
dictated by our agenda items, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes our time is dictated by availability. And then we'll start looking at locations for you that have a little bit homier of a feel and allow you to.
Then
to
this
have-
room?
My couch?
I mean, listen.
My porch?
The Zoom meetings were the best, right? So that's kind of how that process typically works.
So we have done, since we kind of call it a retreat, all day, starting at 9, depending on what we have on the agenda.
Well, everybody keep that day free if you can. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do. Just put on 21st on your calendar and June 21st.
Yes.
That one on your calendar, keep it free. And we'll go from there. Okay. Well, do I have a motion? Enter into closed session as authorized by Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia to discuss one personnel matter.
So move.
That's student matter too, or did I get taken off?
Second. Can I have a roll, please?
Oh, how quickly you're annoyed with me. Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Trabaka?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. Graham? Yes. Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries.
Very good. We all got this down.
Yeah,
Look at that fast learner.
kind of like saying that.